Hey everyone, today we're reacting to scary stories. We have 12 here. I don't know if we can get through all of them, but we're going to try. It's about half an hour long, so yeah, we're going to do our best. But it is of September 2019, a little bit of time ago.
Not that long ago. It's
nah, it's not really, but here we go.
5 months ago. Not that long. Oh.
I almost got kidnapped by a stranger abusing
I'm 24,
online track sessions.
and this happened 5 years ago when I was 19. I was conducting an online transaction on a site called
Take up the
Alts,
charger.
which is similar to Craigslist.
Yeah,
It's an online app where you can see items being sold by random strangers, and all you have to do is make a call and meet up. I was looking for a cheap sweater for my trip to Japan the
I
following
think
week.
we've seen this one before.
After several minutes of scrolling, I came across an ad with exactly what I was looking for. A Korean-style female-fur sweater for just 300 pesos, about $6.
What country's pesos?
It was
for?
perfect. I had issue with it. The meetup point was at the LRT train station at 8 p.m.
Yeah,
because the seller was too busy at work.
It's a bit dodgy how that
I
girl
decided,
was literally
what the heck?
going
It's a
online,
public place
going
anyway.
fucking- Going to a
I
train
called the
station.
owner
It's a
and
little
we
bit
had a quick
dodgy,
convo.
Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
we've
sounded
already
like a
seen this
strict
one, so we
guy,
know what goes on with
but
this
I
one.
asked him when we could meet up.
Skip it.
He responded, tonight at 8 p.m. sharp. I said sure.
Creepy old stalker lady. Oh, and I've got an ad. Ad. Get that one out of the way quick. Creepy old lady.
This
stalker.
happened a little over 20 years ago. I was 10 years old and my sister was 6.
Fucking hell. We're staying them
We grew up in a small town, raised only by our hardworking mother. It started when school was nearly finished for the year.
Last few we haven't actually
The
seen
nights
them,
were
so-
late because my sister was up all night.
Right.
This fact happened when I was 15 years old. Beginning of last year, 2018, when I finally got to sophomore year here in Brazil.
2 years.
It was an ordinary Friday night. Suddenly, I felt a little bit hungry, so I decided to put on some clothes and go to the snack bar. It was barely 10 minutes from my house.
But when it was 2019, it doesn't
I
feel
usually
like it
pass
was a
through
year
the
ago.
alley to go to the
2015
snack
was
bar,
5 years ago.
but that time, everything was so
imagine that.
creepy in there.
But by the way,
When I was halfway there, it was
We're
dark,
both 12,
empty,
so
abnormally cold and
I'm
gloomy.
13.
Justical is
I
playing
felt
Wannee at
slightly
24 hours
intimidated,
straight.
but there was nothing there that could really
No one
harm
really
me.
cares, let's be honest.
So I decided to just go through that alley. Then I thought,
Alright, this seems
nothing's
pretty
gonna happen.
normal.
I kept going until I suddenly heard something weird on the other side of the alley.
Then you don't want
There
to
was
go
a
down
man
there.
in there,
You
staring at the
my-
walls
How
in
dumb
hunchback
can you be?
stance, grunting
nowadays.
weirdly.
Could be
I
a
found that
drug dealer,
incredibly
who knows?
creepy.
Drug dealer.
But I was nearly at the snack bar, so all I needed was just to
Yeah,
get
if
out of
it's
that
GTA 5,
alley.
I would go down, let's be
Walk
honest.
1 minute more and I finally would
GTA
get
is not
there,
real.
instead of making it all
What
the
are
way
you
home
doing,
with
my
empty
friend?
hands. Thus, I decided to ignore him and pass through
Oh.
after all.
Just
I finally passed through him. He
Not
turned
worth
to
it.
me and stared at me with a creepy smile, which made me walk a little bit faster, trying to avoid him. Then,
By
suddenly,
the way,
I heard a
these are
grunt
not our
and quick
videos.
steps
At
behind
the
me.
end, we're just
When I
reacting
looked
to
back,
at the
it
end,
was
and
him.
I will
We were
plug
barely
the,
2 feet away from each other.
person who made
He
the
had a
videos.
kitchen knife in his right hand and jumped on me with
Oh my
amazing
God.
speed and tried to stab me.
Wow, this is like some
I managed to grab both of
Japanese
his arms
anime
before
stuff.
he could get me. However, since he was charging at me, he still had
Oh
more
my,
energy to push me back
he
and force
nearly
me
got
against the
fucking
wall.
stabbed.
I was terrified with all of that. I knew I would die if I didn't fight back. Back then, I was already trained in some martial arts to
lucky
defend
there.
myself,
If
but
you never
that
had that,
I
you'd be
thought
done.
I'd never need to use that skill to defend my life until now. So, in a sudden burst of adrenaline, I managed to twist the wrist which he was holding the knife, kicking his stomach and punching him mercilessly in the face several times. In the end, his face was bleeding so much,
God, man,
but his
good
body
man.
was ignoring the pain of the blows in his body and only focusing on killing me. Finally, I used a training that I took
He's focusing
before
on killing
to
this
twist
guy, like,
both
he's
of his
just
wrists
bleeding
and
out.
elbows harshly at the same time, forced in 2 different directions, and kicked the backside of his leg, putting him to the ground until ultimately he could drop the knife. It wasn't easy because he was struggling and punching my back and somehow trying to jump on me. But since I had his arm under my grasp, he couldn't do much without breaking
Jump
himself.
on you.
This guy's
I slammed his head in the concrete ground, stunning him. then kept striking his face desperately while kneeling over his arm so he wouldn't be able to react or reach his knife again. Then finally, he was out
Yeah, he just
cold,
got, like,
bleeding a lot.
I think he's
My
like,
knuckles were full of blood and hurt. So I
the
got
cops,
up,
all the
took his
ambulance.
knife, throwing it far away from there, and ran away from him. I finally got to the snack bar, washed my hands in there, and did everything I had to do before going back home. But obviously, I didn't take the same path as I did before.
I wouldn't have either.
But there were things that got much creepier. That was at the entrance of my apartment, where I heard screams coming from the other side of the street. It was the same crazy man. Now, seeming like he was possessed by a demon, and he was slamming his head on the iron door of my building's entrance. His face was horribly deformed and scarred from our fight.
Really just extinct humans.
That freaked me out
Going too
completely.
far.
How do you see his face?
My parents were on a trip, and the watchman of our
Scary.
building was on vacation. I wasn't going to fight that man again, so I decided to rush to my girlfriend's house. When I got there, she was home alone.
Yeah.
She looked worried because I was looking pale, and there were still some marks of the man's blood on my clothes. I explained everything to her, and we called the police to come by my building. And when they arrived, the man was still in the entrance trying to force the doors unsuccessfully. When he saw the police, he attacked
Let's
them,
be honest,
but got quickly
that
dominated
is a
by the
little
cops. They explained that he was probably a crazy psycho in the streets looking for prey to rape, kill, or do anything he wanted to the person. So they sent him to a high-security mental asylum for criminals far away from my house.
That's a good thing.
I
Doing
feel
it
so
better,
lucky
let's
that I
be
survived
honest.
that day, and I'm hoping that I will never see that man again.
Well, this is a footwear.
Yeah. Beefing over. Someone was beside me while I was sleeping.
When I was 10 or
Maybe that
11,
news
my
got
cousin
off
and
while
aunt
trying to
visited
hide in
us.
bed and go in
We
the
had fun
window
throughout
and
the
get out
day,
to that girl.
and my aunt and cousin
Yeah,
decided to
that
sleep
is-
at my other aunt's house before leaving early in
That-
the morning.
That
After
was
such a fun day,
garbage bin
I
thing to go.
insisted upon sleeping at my aunt's house
Stink
too,
garbage
so
bin.
I could spend more
That is
time with
garbage
everyone.
bin. You can't speak.
Later that night,
Like in
we
Australia,
all fell
like,
asleep in the
like,
guest room, the only
Crikey.
room that was available for
yes,
us.
code
Right,
laser.
who's
I
by
woke up
you?
suddenly at 5 a.m. I heard my mom and other aunt talking, so I was definitely awake. I saw that
Well,
my
that's pretty
cousin and
normal.
aunt's
Sometimes
things
you
weren't
do
there
that.
anymore, so I assumed they'd already left.
Hmm.
I was about to fall back asleep. I looked at my left and saw someone sleeping beside me. I was about to hug her, thinking it was my 21-year-old girl cousin. But then I saw her face. She wasn't my cousin at all. She was someone I didn't know. But she looked about the age of my cousin. She wore pajamas and a black shirt, and all I could do was stare at her. She started doing strange things, like stretching her legs up and down, and just focusing on the ceiling. It was all so odd. But feeling tired, I eventually drifted off to sleep like nothing had happened. I woke up at 8 a.m., looking at my left, and she was gone. I told everything to my mom and every family member in the house, but no one knew what I had experienced or who the girl was. My dad told me that my third eye was starting to see more, but I didn't really believe that. I'm turning 13 now, and that experience still
It's not about
remains a
teenage
mystery
man.
to me. It never happened to me again, and hopefully it won't.
My girlfriend.
Hi, my name is Adil,
Nearly got killed.
and this is a true story. The police have finished this case, and the man is in prison now. I was 14 at the time this took place. I was in a school and sitting in a history
Dude, I just
lesson
look
that
like
was
a
so
normal kid with
boring.
a humongous head.
My friend Noel,
blue
who was
lips
sitting
as well.
opposite me, said I could come over on
You
Saturday,
might have blue lips.
as his parents were
I mean,
not going
nothing
to be
against
there
it, but-
because they were going on a weekend away.
Blue
That meant we could stay up as long as we wanted.
And a blue
This was
inside
not
of your
uncommon,
mouth.
as we both invited each other to stay at
Oh,
one another's
that's-
house, and I
that's not
thought we
normal.
were going to have
I
a great
mean-
time. Saturday came
You know
and
what I know
was
of is
so
that's
ready.
not, I mean, I'm not against people
I
with
packed my
blue
essentials
mouths.
like
Yeah,
my
I'm
toothbrush,
not
my new
that.
game, and my pepper spray.
Red and pink and
My
stuff.
parents always made me carry it, and I didn't mind
If
because
that
it made
all
me
their
feel
mouths are
safe
blue, I'm
too.
gonna be like, oh my
I
god.
went on my way, and 30 minutes later, after walking, arrived to Noel's house. As he opened the door, he looked
Like
a little
James-
tense and shifty.
All
I
right,
walked
mate.
in and locked the door after me, to which
was
he
that?
became even more anxious.
I love how his mouth is blue
I
and
asked him if
everyone else's
everything was
mouth
all
is
right,
red.
and he said it was.
Poor.
Not trying to put a down on the evening, I asked him if we could play the new game I bought.
Oh
He
yeah.
wasn't really interested, but said yes anyway.
Call of Duty trick shots.
After
with the
30
boys.
minutes of watching
Does
him not
that-
playing
does-
and
when
just
the
holding
girl
the
think
controller
that
in his
he's
hand,
feeling
I
very
switched
well.
off the TV and asked him what was going on. To which he replied, "I need your help." I asked him what he needed my help for. He told me that this man who added him on Facebook was actually stalking him in real life, and as to how he wanted to meet Noel.
Why do you have Facebook
He
anyway?
warned
Let's be
him
real.
that if he
You're
told
like-
his parents, he would kill them.
7
So
years
Noel,
old,
being the
I
stupid
think,
idiot,
looking.
he told him to come at 8 p.m., 5 minutes from now.
If someone's stalking
I
you,
think
He was
About
scared,
8,
so
7.
he asked me
If
to
he's
come to
stalking,
this
why not
meeting
just
to
his
get rid
parents
of
not
him.
home then.
And that if he had told me at school, I never would have agreed
he'll
to
be home
come.
alone.
He was
I
right.
think you meant to
I
be
felt
7 to
betrayed that he
8-year-olds
brought me
home
here under
alone.
false pretenses.
And they should not have Facebook.
I was also
Let's be real.
angry at his
No.
stupidity of him giving his
just-
address away as well.
They should
However,
still be
I
at
had
the
no time to
YouTube Kids
argue.
age.
I was just glad he told me about this guy.
They should.
I grabbed my pepper spray and just sat there on the couch. The doorbell rang at 8 p.m.
In that Roblox.
I just sat there hoping he would
That's what
leave
me and him
after
were
a
like
little
when we
bit.
were 7 and 8.
However, then I started to hear
Fortnite
scratching
comes
and
to
realized
favour.
he was breaking in
Ruin
with
our
some sort of
lives,
tool.
arguably.
I quickly ran into the kitchen with
Nah,
Noel
we
to
went
make
back
the
to
door
Minecraft.
lock get broken,
Season 10
and
was
someone
so bad.
kicked the door in.
Yep. It's supposed to be
The lights
scary,
were
not
on, and we
Fortnite.
were hiding behind the large fridge.
I'm much
The man
more
in a deep
into
voice
Call of Duty
shouted,
Mobile now.
"No."
Very, very good game. I've just turned right down
We
the
didn't
sound.
reply. And then he shouted, "Noel, where the heck are you?
Yeah, no.
I'm going to kill you."
No, we're
Oh, yeah.
watching you.
I had a plan. At this point, I pushed Noel out from behind the fridge. Noel started going back, and the man was walking forward, chuckling. As soon as he came near the distance of the fridge, I
got a
shot out
shank.
and sprayed pepper spray in his eyes.
What are you doing with
He screamed in
spray at
pain
your
and then
mate's
started swinging the screwdriver in his
house? He
hand.
pulls a gun
Where
on
did
you.
they
like,
get
I
him
grabbed
from?
the
Where'd they get
screwdriver
him
and picked up a
Yeah,
pan
where
laying
did you
there
get
and
pepper
hit him on
spray
the
at at
head.
age like 7
He
or 8?
blacked out.
I don't know.
He was dressed in a smart suit and was clean shaven. We called the police and later found out that he was a man who was being monitored because there were several complaints of stalking and threatening behavior. They also found many tools in a bag he left near the door that
Those
would
are instruments
dismember
of
a body.
murder.
Thankfully, this sicko didn't kill anyone.
Crikey!
However, I'm now happy that Noel called me because I dread to think what would have happened if I wasn't there.
Sean. Alright, so, right, James, rate them. What do you
Right.
think of the first one with the guy in the alleyway? Creepiness, enjoyment,
Creepiness.
and scaredness.
Enjoyment, I have to give that probably a 5. It was
I'll give it a
alright.
7. What about scariness?
7. That was.
I'm
It was
only
just the
gonna
man's
give it-
face.
Yeah.
That got
I'm
me.
gonna say 4.5.
Just the man's face. got me.
Creepiness, that's got to be.
Yeah, that's 10 out of 10.
I mean, I want to
to
give it like 7.5 because I mean, the only thing creepy
Oh,
is
8,
the
I'll
man's
give it
face
8.